Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down the latest and greatest research into bite-sized, easy-to-digest pieces.
And today we have a paper that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine an AI that doesn't just answer questions, but acts like a full-blown research scientist. It reads the latest literature, comes up with its own hypotheses, runs experiments, analyzes the results, and then writes a complete scientific paper about its findings.
All on its own, with no human help. That's exactly what a new paper describes. It's called Camyla, Scaling Autonomous Research in Medical Image Segmentation.
Okay, that title is a bit of a mouthful. Let's break it down. Medical image segmentation is the first key part. What does that actually mean?
It's a really important task in medicine. Think about a CT scan of someone's chest or an MRI of a brain. Segmentation is the process of teaching a computer to find and precisely outline specific things in that image, like a tumor, a particular organ, or a lesion.
So it's like giving the AI a digital coloring book of a medical scan and asking it to color inside the lines for, say, the liver or a suspicious-looking spot. Getting this right is crucial for diagnosing diseases and planning treatments.
Exactly, but it's really challenging. There are so many different types of scans for every part of the body. An AI model that's great at finding tumors in brain MRIs might be useless at spotting issues in lung X-rays. So researchers are constantly trying to design better AI models for each specific task.
And that's where Camyla comes in. It's an AI system designed to automate that entire research process. The goal was to see if an AI could, given a raw dataset of medical images, do everything a human research team would do from start to finish.
The paper points out that this is incredibly difficult for an AI. It's not just about running one experiment. Autonomous research over long periods faces three big challenges. First, the AI can easily get stuck going down a rabbit hole, wasting time and energy on a bad idea that's going nowhere.
The second problem is memory. After dozens or hundreds of failed experiments, the AI can get bogged down in details. It might forget the important lessons it learned early on, or keep repeating the same mistakes because its memory is cluttered with junk.
And the third challenge is what happens when an experiment doesn't work. Often an AI will try a tiny, simple fix. If that doesn't work, it tries another tiny, simple fix. It gets trapped in a loop of making small, repetitive changes instead of realizing it needs to step back and try a completely different approach.
So how does Camyla solve these problems? The researchers built a system with three really clever core mechanisms. Let's start with the first one, which stops the AI from wasting time on bad ideas. It's called quality-weighted branch exploration.
That sounds complicated, but the idea is actually simple. Think of Camyla as a venture capitalist. It has a limited budget of time and computing power, and it starts with a few different research proposals, or ideas. It invests a little bit into each one to see how they perform.
If an idea starts showing promise and getting good results, Camyla directs more resources to it, exploring it more deeply. But if an idea is a total flop, it pulls the funding and stops wasting time on it. This way, it cleverly allocates its budget to the most promising research directions.
Okay, so that's how it picks which ideas to focus on. But what about that memory problem? How does it avoid getting lost in the details of hundreds of experiments?
For that, Camyla uses something called layered reflective memory. This is a bit like how we remember things. You don't remember every single word of a book you read last year, but you remember the key plot points and the overall theme. Camyla does the same.
So it has different layers of memory?
Precisely. It has a short-term, trial-level memory for what just happened. Then it has a cycle-level memory that summarizes all the experiments related to one big idea. And finally, it has a global memory, which is a super compressed summary of the most important takeaways from everything it has ever done. This way, it always has the big picture in mind without getting overwhelmed.
That's smart. And that brings us to the third problem. What happens when an experiment underperforms? How does Camyla avoid getting stuck in a loop of tiny, useless fixes?
This might be the coolest part. It uses a system called divergent diagnostic feedback. When a trial fails, instead of just getting one piece of feedback like the model is too complex, a special diagnostic agent gives it a portfolio of 5 different suggestions.
A portfolio? What kind of suggestions?
They're all categorically different. One might be a code fix, another a suggestion to change the model's architecture, another might point out that the AI didn't even implement the original idea correctly. This forces Camyla to consider multiple diverse recovery paths instead of just trying the most obvious incremental fix. It's like getting advice from a whole committee of experts instead of just one.
Okay, so the system sounds brilliant in theory. A smart investor with a layered memory that gets advice from a whole committee. But the big question is, did it work?
It worked spectacularly well. The researchers created a brand new, very difficult test benchmark using 31 different medical imaging datasets that were only published in 2025 to make sure Camyla couldn't have seen the data before.
Wait, 2025? The paper is from 2026, so they used datasets from the future?
That's just a little bit of academic fun, a way to signal that these are brand new datasets the system couldn't possibly have been trained on. And across 2 independent runs, Camyla beat the strongest existing AI models on 24 out of the 31 datasets. It generated over 2,700 novel model designs and wrote 40 complete, unique research papers.
It wrote 40 papers? Were they any good? Could a human tell they were written by an AI?
That's what the researchers tested. They had senior human scientists review the papers Camyla wrote alongside real papers published by humans, and the verdict was that Camyla's papers were on par with those found in top-tier and second-tier medical imaging journals. They were high quality, coherent, and presented real scientific contributions.
That is genuinely mind-blowing. So what's the big takeaway here? That we're all about to be replaced by AI scientists?
Not quite. The paper suggests a really interesting insight. The key to Camyla's success wasn't just having a super powerful language model, it was the entire infrastructure built around it. The structured workbench for running experiments, the smart memory system, the diagnostic feedback.
So it's not just about building a bigger brain, it's about giving that brain the right tools, the right lab, and the right processes to conduct good science.
Exactly. The central finding is that with the right design, autonomous research systems can produce competitive methods and reviewable manuscripts across a whole range of scientific tasks. It's a huge step towards a future where AI can act as a true partner in scientific discovery, accelerating research in ways we're only just beginning to imagine.